Thanks for tuning in. You are locked and loaded to the What's Next podcast. Luke Hemmies and Philip Smith from Next Advisory. It's good to have you listening. Phil, an absolute pleasure to be back on the mic, discussing some of our favourite topics when it comes to business and just being better. We've got a cracker today.
We do, mate. It is. I love the intro.
Thank
Clear,
you.
Precise. Good shout out to the good people at Next Advisory.
Great people.
5 stars if you haven't already done it, folks. We do appreciate it. And as always, good to be back on the mic with a strapping young man like yourself.
Today, doing things you don't want to do. Why it's important. Cut the music. Let's go.
Let's roll. Let's rumble. Life.
Well, we were.
I don't want to do life.
No, I don't want to brush my teeth. I don't want to exercise. I don't want to eat well.
Don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
Don't want to put out the rubbish.
Don't want to work. Don't want to pay tax.
Oh, that's a common one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, don't want to pay tax.
Don't want to have to pay for petrol. What else don't I want to do? Yeah, I actually don't often think like this, so it's hard for me to think of instant examples. But this comes from a couple of conversations we've just been having with clients and from different people who sort of been stepping into that like, oh, I really don't want to do this. And yep, there's things that we can learn to then delegate or remove from our life, and that's all good. But there are times where we have to just, as Phil would say, suck it up, buttercup, and get the shit done.
Yep.
And there's always things that we can learn from those things that we don't like doing.
There is always something to learn, isn't there?
There
If
is.
you have the time to sit back and reflect, learn.
So why, Phil, why do you think, mate, in your notes over there, why do we think it's important to do the things that we don't want to do at times?
Why is it important to do them?
Yeah.
Because it's going to build up mental toughness, resilience.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to give you feedback to your mental reward system, and over the long term with a consistent approach, it's going to get easier, folks.
Wow. Give us a bit more detail there, sir.
Well, it's like you're a little bitch and you sleep until 7:30 every morning and you think, you know what, I can squeeze an extra 2 hours out of my day if I get up at 5:30. And setting that alarm at 5:30 every morning and getting up, particularly when it's a chilly start like it was this morning, can't be easy. Admittedly, I got up just after 6 o'clock this morning, not 5:30. So I will suck an egg there to some degree, just a little hard-boiled egg, because she was a cold one. And my slippies weren't beside the bed, and my newspaper wasn't there, and there wasn't a cup of coffee. Look, I'm bitching and moaning. But the point of it is, you set the alarm for 5:30, just using that as an example. The first day is not going to be easy. The second day ain't going to be easy, and the third day definitely isn't going to be easy. But don't give up. And I think get up and have a plan, and squeeze what it is you need to squeeze out of those 2 hours. I hope it isn't a shit for 2 hours.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
That's not a good use of anyone's time. I'd say see a doctor. I don't know why I thought about that. That's rash. Today's one of those days. But it's going to get easier because you're going to condition your mind and your body to that is the new way that we behave.
Yeah.
And it'll get easier. Then it becomes a routine. And it was like you with your gratefulness thing, right? At first I assumed that would be a challenge to remember to do it because you're such a busy guy, you got a lot going on. So to pause, stop, and execute at 9 o'clock or 9:30 or whenever your alarm was, and do it religiously for however long you did it, and then us sitting down on one of the pods and actually going, well, do you actually need the reminder anymore? And no, you don't. And I'm pretty confident you still do it and you don't miss a beat.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a pretty solid routine that you've built in and knocked into shape.
Yeah, I think, I like that resilience, perseverance, and focus as well.
Yep.
Because often I'll look at things that I don't want to do and I'll say, well, you're still going to have to do it at some stage. So you're actually just lacking focus and respect for yourself because you're just then going to kick it down the can for you yourself at a later date to then deal with, and you might be under more stress, you might be under more time pressure or something. And so if you've actually got the time to do something in the here and now that you need to be done, and you know it needs to be out of the way, well then teach yourself to focus and bring yourself back to focus and go, okay, I can overrule my internal dialogue saying I'm not going to do this, and you just get up and go and get it done.
Brilliant. I've pretty much written down something that aligns with that, and it's relates to a situation, and using work as an example, because people are going to go to work and like, oh, I don't want to do that bank rec, and I don't want to pay my employees. No, of course everyone likes paying their employees. I just don't know why I use that as an example, but anyway, but you've got to have an awareness of it, as you just mentioned that before, and you used the word focus, and focus, yep, that's where you start doing the doing, but you've got to have a plan. So I've had it recently where I'll be sitting down, I'll be like, oh, I've got to get this bit of work done. And I know that when working from home, it can be a challenge because there's distractions abound. Wife, kids, the TV, there's lawns to be mowed. So you can immediately think of other things that you could be doing rather than what should be done or needs to be done. So coming up with a plan. The easy way for me is just to put on the old noise-cancelling headphones, the old Bose ones, incidentally.
Yeah.
Quite comfy, produce a pretty good sound.
Not
Maybe a little bit of Taylor Swift
of course.
in the old tar ringers, and zone into what I do. And it doesn't take long, and this is from personal experience, but then you get momentum.
Yeah, I like it. Momentum.
And once you're locked in and you've got that momentum, an hour goes by and you've been through one of Taylor's albums, and then boom, you roll on to the next album, and another hour goes by, and then that one finishes, and then, oh, gee, go back to the first album, and another hour goes by, and all of a sudden you've just smashed out 3 hours, and it's 11:30 at night.
And you just really got to shake it off, don't you?
Yeah, shake it off, big time.
Yeah. Wow.
I like what you did there.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's real good.
Taylor Swift. Okay, well, swiftly on to my next point here. I got to get rid of these poor jokes.
We need those claps going, oh, these dad jokes are great.
But I think if you can get in control of yourself, like one of the key advantages I see too is if you can get to the point where you can do the things that you don't like doing, you start to get back in control of controlling yourself. And you're like, oh, shit, I'm actually in control of this. Like, yeah, I didn't want to do that, but I forced myself to do it anyway. And everybody that talks about doing the things that they didn't want to do ends up being like, yeah, but I'm so glad that I did it. And I think so many people are out of control of themselves.
Yes.
And so don't know ways to get back in control of themselves, or doing the things that your mind is telling you, like, don't do it, I can't be bothered, there's no point, what's the point of doing
You know what the real punishing thing is? When you sit back and you reflect on it and you go, the opportunity cost of the lost time.
Yeah.
Because when you put stuff off, and then when it comes to the crunch and you go, geez, I've had a week to do whatever it is, or you get to the end of the day and it's like, oh, gee, I've got this to do. You've had a whole day to do it, but then all of a sudden you can smack it out in an hour or 2 hours.
Yeah.
And you kind of look back on it and you think, maybe if I'd just done it and it only took an hour or 2 hours, then I would have had all of this other time, rather than filling that other time with distracting or avoiding activities like hanging out at the water cooler, going and jumping on the old Stuff website. That'll get you every time.
80% of the time, every time.
Going to the bloody coffee machine and just getting that next coffee, even though you might not need it.
How's your day going?
Yeah, you know, you go and talking to Jenny, or you know, James has got something going on, or
what are you doing tonight?
you know, Daniel's got some other punishing story about a car.
I just had to ring the IRD. Let me tell you about it. Mate, I don't care. I don't need to know.
Yeah, and that's where, coming back to the point you originally made, was around focus. Finding what it is, your secret sauce. You know, that little pickle.
Yeah.
That's that you can, you know, throw around, that's gonna help you go, right, we're on task.
Yeah. I've got a bit of man rub at the moment, mate.
A bit of what?
A bit of man rub.
Man rub.
Yeah.
Was that the shit you were wiping on your face on that virtual call yesterday?
Oh, no,
you were rubbing your face like a...
There's something different, yeah. Phil and I were on a virtual call for those just tuning in. Yeah,
for those listening, just tuning in, the virtual call, we will share it.
Yep.
We got reviewed by the fine people at the Chartered Accountants Australia and New Zealand, or the Institute of Accountants, and as part of our thing of being CAs, they come in and do a bit of a review of us and the work that we do and make sure that it's all in order. And the lady did say it was on the shorter end of what she normally does. And we are low risk, we're prepared to learn, and we got a lot of good stuff going. We came through squeaky clean. There's some little rooms of improvements. Those spelling errors are going to get you every time.
We love a bit of room for improvement, don't we?
Yep, the work papers, just a few touch-ups here and there. But look, overall, we came away with maybe a silver star. Next time, 5 years' time, apparently.
Yeah,
they
reckon. The
reckon.
next one.
Yeah, well, I did ask her. I said, how often do these happen? And thinking, oh, gee, there's going to be something rash comes out. Oh, you'll be catching up with you guys within the next 12 months. But no, 5 years, she reckons.
Yeah. Well, I actually recorded a quick 10-second piece from yesterday. I might be able to play it through.
Oh, no. Is it me or her?
What they need to do is, if the company has a constitution, you need to check the constitution.
Got it.
And use.
It was very tough to stand there for 2 hours. I'll give you the tip, Phil, and listen to the importance of company constitutions and crossing your T's and dotting your I's when you're, you're not that way inclined. But a good example of doing things that you don't necessarily want to do.
Mate, it was great. The risk management technique of giving her the background that you worked in Audit New Zealand.
Very smart.
Eh?
Very smart.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, well, that's good because that means...
She wrote that down and she just thought, my word, these guys are going to be the real deal.
Well, back to my man rub, because this is how this started. So
Gee, we know how to bloody go
that
down
was moisturiser that I was rubbing myself with yesterday on screen.
Yeah, on your
in
face.
the practice review.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sort of forgot that people were in the virtual room and just was rubbing myself with that moisturiser
Happens.
and just trying to stay metro. This getting a bit old now. I'm 11 times by 3. But anyway, man rub is actually a like a seasoning that you put on your steak.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, it's called man
steak,
rub.
beef steak.
Yeah, like steak.
Right,
that
so
you eat.
steak's not like code for something else?
Nothing else? No,
Okay, right.
No. So, yeah, I don't know if anyone out there has tried it. I think
Man
it's
rub.
called like Pepper and Me, maybe. Yeah, I had it
Well,
one
I'll
time
bring you
when-
up I've got to have a point to note here. Where's the woman rub?
Well, there could be one. I'm actually just going to Google man rub and see what comes up.
Who makes it?
I think it's from Pepper and Me or something like
Oh,
that.
is that outfit down in Tauranga?
Pepper and Me man rub, 100 grams, the meat box. I think it came as part of, there might have been some sort of promotion, but I'll just Google image search it.
Are they sending
Holy
you
shit.
packages
Oh,
because
that's not
you're the influencer? I haven't
Well-
seen you go hashtag ad on any of this stuff.
No, we had to pay for this one, mate. Don't you worry. Yeah, just be careful if you do image search it in incognito mode. That's just be careful.
Oh, yeah, trap for young players.
Yeah, but anyway, no, some good man rub over there. I've been enjoying that with my morning steak.
You're still having the steak in the morning?
Yep.
Nice one.
Yeah, and again, doing something that I don't necessarily want to do, sticking to this ripper diet and trying to cut back sugar.
But look at you.
Thanks,
I mean,
mate.
the folks at home listening obviously can't see this. But look, in a few weeks' time, that camera will be rolling a little more frequently, and you will.
True. Yeah,
Yeah,
couple of live displays maybe.
maybe.
Yeah.
The bottle of Sea Rock will be there, and after a few glasses of that, who knows what is going to happen.
I reckon we just set up Big Brother cam in the office, eh? The What's Next cam, just full time 24/7.
If you let the cat out of the bag.
Oh, whoops. Yeah.
But that's all right.
Hey, anyway, what else? What's next, so to speak? What else have we got on here? Actually, one thing that I wrote down, mate, was think about what else it can teach you. So if there's something that you don't want to do, like sitting there and going, okay, for you, because for me, it's like, okay, I'd get back in control of myself and learn that I can go and do things that I don't necessarily want to do. But everybody's different. So for you, like, what is it that it's going to teach you? So actually have the awareness for yourself to think about, okay, if I can continue to do the things that I don't want to do, what's it going to teach me? And then what other areas of your life can you do this in? Maybe it's doing the washing for your partner when you really don't want to, or folding those towels, The
power of delegation, I think that's often overlooked. And an example, having to talk to my mum. You got to do it every now and again. And g'day, how's it going? How's life? Yep, good. Right, have a chat to the kids. My job's done.
There you go.
A minute into the call and I've delegated my responsibility.
Yeah. Wow. It's just like that.
Yep.
So the answer is have
Doing the
children.
things you don't want to do. So I might not necessarily want to talk to my mum, but I make it look like I've wanted to talk to my mum because I've done the intro and then delegated the call to the children.
Well, you got a good story about one of your children actually, which I think we can learn from, and coming back to think about what else it can teach you. So your daughter was saying to you that she doesn't necessarily like writing, right? Or like writing about essays or something?
Yeah, backstory in English class. Dad, I'm in English. It sucks. I'm having to do an essay about a movie that I'm watching. It's shit, although she didn't say that. I'm paraphrasing.
Know what the movie was?
She did say, but I can't remember.
Fast and the Furious 9?
No, no. I mean, it's like I don't watch Netflix much at all. So keeping up with what the movies are these days, I just don't know. And she said, "Oh, well, what's this going to teach me for when I want to go and, do whatever I want to do when I leave school?" Well, look, love, you don't know what you're going to do when you leave school anyway, because if you make your mind up now, you're a woman, so chances are you're going to change your mind another 70 times. Yeah, okay, it's a bit rash for all the ladies listening out there. But look, that's the type of discussion I can have with my daughter, and she understands my sense of humour, and I get hers. So we're all good in our house. But I said to her, look, it's the principle. It's not about the movie. It could have been about a poem. It could have been about a short story. It could have been about anything. They're teaching you a skill about how to articulate your thoughts, write a compelling argument, all that kind of stuff. And yes, it actually does pay dividends when you're a little bit older.
Yeah, nice. I really like that example because it speaks to me a bit. Sixth form, I packed the shit because I didn't pass creative writing, and I like to think of myself as a relatively creative person, and I find it very easy to write a story.
Creative with those tax returns.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have failed creative financial bloody literacy, but being able to tell a story, being able to make content, write, keep the change. Like now, I'm doing writing, and I'm like, you know what, that failure didn't actually matter.
I mean, it's the form because it's writing, and really you're shining light. Really, the strength is the camera and video. I mean, your 200,000 followers on Snapchat, for example.
That's right.
If you had the ability to be able to submit that in sixth form as part of your creative content,
Probably teaching the teacher.
yeah, it'd be A++.
But there's two stories. One is that I didn't let that stop me, so I think that's good. So just because you then think like, oh, okay, I don't
You
necessarily
think it's
want
good
to
that
do that.
consumers use content?
They'll give you the real feedback, not some guy marking it. But I had this conversation twice yesterday, and I got a message from a younger person that I had a lot to do with when I was back down in the Taranaki, and they were doing their CA path, and they failed one of the papers. And they said, like, it really just knocked me for six because I hadn't failed everything. And then you get stuck in that pressure of like, okay, well, you've got to tell all your people that are studying at the same time. You've got to tell your work, all your people at your work. You've got to tell your family. And then all of a sudden you're learning about failure, but we're looking at it wrong. We're like, oh, like I'm not good enough. I'm not the same as everybody else. Well, the marker might have just had like I've got a percentage of people that I need to, stick to the rule book or whatever, but who knows? But you shouldn't let that be the thing that stops you from then going and doing the things that you need to do. And that's delayed then her progression of her study and her career because she's been worried about that one failure. And I'm like, fuck, you're going to face a lot of failure in your life. So to learn that that's actually really good for you.
And not getting the CO ticket as quickly as you thought it would isn't going to see you back.
No, and employers aren't then going to go and look at it and go, well, I actually didn't pass that, and that's that's a big thing for you, but not necessarily for other people. So you've got to be able to work yourself through those types of situations.
I'm surprised we've got through this far in this particular episode of the podcast, episode number 99. If we want to highlight that, that's probably 99 more than any other accountant. But look, that's another yarn. We haven't mentioned P.
Methamphetamine?
Procrastination.
Got it.
Like doing things you don't want to do. You're procrastinating.
Yeah.
Why are you procrastinating?
Yeah. More often than not, you are.
I'm surprised we haven't mentioned it. Well, he's having a bit of a coughing fit in the background, folks.
Yeah. Gee.
It's what happens when you're doing too much man rubbing.
That's right. I was going to say, give me the man rub.
You're right there? He's got there.
Not
just
sure.
going off and on mute. Going and then tripping over his cord. There's a fair bit going on here, folks.
I think I might have just swallowed a bloody abacus. I'm not sure.
Wow. The
Procrastination.
part of my plan, like for procrastination, like and doing the things you don't want to do, and then just thinking about, for me, is just start.
Yeah, I like it.
Take that first step. Get the headphones out of the little box. Put them on. Get your playlist. Tay, how's it going? And then just start.
Yeah.
And I find it surprising. I'll be really interested to get some feedback from others out there at just how quickly it takes for momentum to happen.
Mm.
You know, you get into that, what's that zone called that we learned about at that ice house thing?
Flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, yeah.
And it does happen. And it's like when you are at the gym and you're, it's a cardio day, I'll go and do a run or a row or something like that, or the cross train, whatever your weapon of choice is, the stair machine.
Mm.
You'll find that you'll get into a flow and you can just keep going. That's a great space to be in.
One of the key things that I think is important to teach yourself about doing the things that you don't want to do
Mm-hmm.
is because other people won't. And that's going to give you an unfair advantage.
That's naughty.
Yeah.
Look, if I were you folks, pause, rewind, and just listen to that little gem one more time.
Go -15 a couple of times and listen to that. Because honestly, we are going down a path of wanting to do the least.
Yep.
And not wanting to do extra, and why should I have to do that, and all this sort of shit. And that's fine if that's the path you want to go on. Like you'll watch yourself paint your own life with that methodology.
Mm.
But if you choose to go against the crowd and against the grain and go, no, I'm going to suck it up and do the things that I don't want to do. I'm going to do the 10,000 hours. I'm going to do this kick 100 times from the sideline. You're going to stand out from the crowd way faster. And it's going to become faster to become more successful in this country as more people go down the other path of like, I can't be bothered. Why should I have to? That's not my job. I don't feel like it. That's not going to work.
It reminds me of one thing that I am trying to get across to the kids in terms of having a good work ethic, of going, it's pretty easy to take the path of least resistance. And if you're taking the path of least resistance, the chances are you're doing the wrong thing. Because what you should be doing when you're in a learning environment is something hard.
Yeah.
If it's not hard, it's wrong. Challenge yourself.
Challenge yourself. You're capable of more. So do that. Well, it's good. It's you see the swimmers, for instance, when they're training for the Olympics and they get in those pools where they're swimming straight into the current.
Swimming in a pool? Who would have thought?
Crazy training strategy for swimming.
Wouldn't have guessed, but okay, we'll run with it.
You know, and those treadmills effectively going like directly into the current and they're just staying in one place swimming, but everyone will be like, no, just drift with the river. Don't swim against the tide and don't swim against the current. Like, but that's all good in some situations. But if you want to build some strength and some mental toughness and stuff, sometimes you got to get in and go for a scrap and do the things you don't want to do. You're going to swim against that current.
Swimming against that current is going to harden you the F right up.
Yeah.
Because that's hard.
Mm.
Particularly if you're doing it for an extended period of time.
Yep.
And there's a fair bit of current coming at you.
So as an exercise for you guys out there, have a think about some of the things that you don't like doing, or just notice when you say like, I don't want to do that, or again, we always talk about it, go back to your procrastination list, your to-do list, and go, actually, is there anything on there that I could actually just do right now? I had a few of them yesterday where I'm like, I don't really need to do that. I can probably do it at a later date. Then I'm like, well, I'm still going to have to do it, so might as well just do it right now.
Man rub on the steak was top of the list, no doubt.
Every morning, just rubbing it out, So there's all those types of things that you're just going to need to do. Defrost my steak before the morning needs to be done. Oh, I'm already in bed now. Get up, get it out of the old freezer.
I think if it's something that that's challenging or you've battled with, and I mentioned earlier, just start small.
Yeah.
Because I think it's pretty easy. The analogy that comes to mind is, people wanting to get into exercise. I think, I'm going to go and run a fucking marathon, and then start running and go, yep, I can go and smash whatever it is, 42 Ks. But you've got to be able to run your first K before you can do 42.
Yep.
And if you can't run or have never run a kilometre before, then try 500 metres. Not 500 kilometres, 500 metres. So take the baby steps. Just get started.
Yep. There's always that good saying that people that get upset in employment or aren't happy usually because they don't either have the tools they need to do the work, or they don't have the skills and therefore they don't know how to do it.
Mm.
And I always remembered that, and I think it's from Gallup's research, and it's one of the 2 out of 3, I think, main contributors of why people will leave or not be happy in a working environment. And I often find that the work that I don't want to do is usually because I don't know how to do it.
Mm.
So if there's something you don't want to do, go...
We had to bring our own fire hoses, didn't we?
Well,
Just reflecting back.
yeah, teach ourselves to be firemen in a prior accounting life. But is there a skill shortage? And that could be the only thing that's stopping you from doing the things that you don't need to do. It could just be that you don't have the skills. And often there's pieces of work that I'm like, oh, I can't. I'm going to need to delay that because I'm going to need to ask Phil. And I'm like, okay, well, I've built the right framework. It's I don't have the knowledge, so I'm lacking the skills or whatever. So that means I feel like I don't want to do that work. But all it takes is a phone call to Phil, hey, mate, how does this work? And then he guides me through it. I'm like, oh, sweet. Then I
put
carry
a
on.
1 on the calculator and then the plus button and then the other 1 and then equals, and that will come to 2.
Yeah, I'm like, and I hadn't turned it on, mate.
Trap for young players.
What's the first step? So, are there times where you don't want to do things and it's actually just because you don't know how? And often, like selling, for instance, can be something like that where people are like, I don't want to sell. Like, I don't want to have to ring that client. I don't want to have to do this. And it's like, yeah, because you're scared of it because you're not entirely sure what to do.
It's that comfort zone, eh? You're having to just get your foot out, like going up to the bar and asking that girl for that phone number.
Yeah, I can't provide too much advice on that.
No, look, it gets pretty awkward when you work out that they're married.
Okay. You got some
No, I don't have any yarns. I'm just
watch Netflix again.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So there's a beauty there as well. What is the knowledge gap that might be stopping you from doing what you know you need to be doing? But all good things are on the other side of us doing the things that we know. Even sometimes they're just things we need to do repetitively, right?
Oh, the repetitive ones, the punishing ones. That's where resilience is really built up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is when you can get that repetitive stuff, like doing your GST return every 2 months.
There's that.
Yep.
Reconciling your zero.
Yep.
Reconciling your MYOB.
Oh, annual accounts.
There's that. Paying tax. Oh, it's not something you always want to do. But once you've done it, you just carry on and move on. But of course, think about what Phil said earlier, that opportunity cost of time if you're going to rethink about things that you know you're going to end up needing to do.
It's a great I love the concept of opportunity cost.
Yeah. Yeah. We should do a podcast on it. Maybe sunk costs as well.
Yeah. Economics 101.
Yeah.
Or the economics according to Next Advisory.
I'm sure people will tune in. Could be some of our most listened to content. Well, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you. Smash that 5-star button, folks.
Because that is 99 not out. And we will see you on episode number 100.
100.
Bringing to you a new sponsor. Sorry, Amano. Nah, I'm only kidding. We'll stick with them, wouldn't we?
Well, I thought you spelled. I thought you were going to drop in like Mick Cafe or something.
Oh, yeah, the old Mick Cafe. Maybe we should just take the mix and the podcasting equipment and go record one there at the Mick Cafe until we get told to get out.
Yeah, then we could try that pickle gag.
True. Oh, well, take it easy if you're out there at McDonald's this weekend or wherever you are with your cheeseburgers trying to put your pickle on the roof. It's not advisable, but it does happen. And maybe Google it and just watch it. And people that have done it before, you don't need to be that person. Someone has to clean that ceiling.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in as always. We'll see you next episode, number 100. Over and out. Be good.